Good morning, everyone. Haven't done this one of these in a while, so while trading by myself, I realized this is quite detrimental that I'm not doing the daily outlook. So here goes. Today is the 2nd of June, finally summer. We're looking at an NQ now at 12 minutes past 1 a.m. Eastern time. So right before London session. And let's have a look top down. So on the weekly, we see that NQ has taken some internal highs here in the internal liquidity to this range. So if we look at the entire range here, we have this high to this high to this low, and this is the range. The impulse is actually a retracement into this. Should be the impulse retracement into this larger range, and then NQ has taken liquidity here and here, and retraced into this imbalance, and this would be a breaker, this entire thing here. If you look on a higher time frame, this would be a breaker. So dropped here into the imbalance in the breaker, and would have been a unicorn on even higher time frame. We are here on the weekly, remember that. So what did NQ do? We need to look to the history in order to make out what might happen in the future. So after the bounce from here, this would be the new impulse, but relative to this range, right? So let me draw it as a range. We have had low here being taken, change in the state of delivery, and push upwards into from external liquidity, which is the lows here, and this low, into internal liquidity, which is this fair value gap here. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go rectangle. Yeah, into internal. Once it reach internal liquidity, we see price taking this high and trying to reverse, but this is still nothing on this weekly chart. This doesn't tell us anything. It's not bearish yet. That's not a reversal. Although if we then move to the 4-hour chart, it's starting to look like a reversal. Still not a reversal. We have price inverting here, taking this liquidity, and then inverting here, going to this internal low. Still bullish until we see NQ coming all the way down to this low here. Then we will see what happens. That would be market structure shift with the possibility to come further down to the 50% of this, of this in that case, to 50% of this. from here to here. So this would be, if we see a market structure shift, we see something like this. Price continue to come down, it creates a market structure shift, comes back into this weekly gap. That would be first target, but only price comes here, creates here some sort of bearish order flow, then we could look to take a short from here into here, to this gap. But we're not there yet. Now, if we look, coming back to overall picture, so we are still bullish on the higher time frame. So in that context, until this happens, until we see market structure shift happening here, my actual range, the current impulse on the 4 hour is this one, because we've had inversion and displacement. So actually what I'm looking as a alternate scenario with a bias which is bullish is for price, and here we go to the 15 minutes on the 4 hour. I would want to turn off indicators for now, and here on this 4 hour impulse range, that this becomes my range structure on context of the 15 minutes. And here we see that price in this range came back into the discount, reacted from the bullish imbalance here. We had this, price came down into the imbalance, has taken liquidity here, has formed a manipulation block with candles closing below this low, and it went up back into premium, has taken liquidity here, and it's now slowly fading down during the Asia session. Now for us in London, now if we're looking at London NQ to trade something, I personally would wait, because I would want to see what happens at this high. I would want to see what happens at this low. And that would be my outlook. So until we come out of this range, I would just sit it out. And that's pretty much the outlook for today for London. As I said, overall, if you look at the higher time frame for the day, again, price is still bullish. We need to see how price reacts later on to the levels. And as I said, we either see price coming down, creating a market structure shift, and we have a lot of news this week, and I'm not expecting that to happen today due to that news, but still, let's do a quick recap. So if price comes down, into this, displace history, comes down, creates a market structure shift. Then we see price displacing to this and going all the way down into this weekly fair value weekly gap. And then we will see what happens here, if it comes all the way to the 50% of this range or not. That would be one outlook for a intermediate time frame, let's say, for this week. Alternatively, price comes down here, finds some support into the imbalance, into the order blocks, and continues its way up. And from here, even higher. If that would be a manipulation leg. We'll have to see. Intraday, as I said, I would just wait. That's it for today. Hope you find some use of this video. I'm sure I will for myself, because it helps me solidify some concepts before I start trading. Good luck.